I believe a lot of us would benefit from being real with ourselves, from not being so hard on ourselves, and simply accepting the hard truths of life. Things happen. Some things are outside of our control. But for some reason, we have this ability to take the blame of things that are outside our control and feel responsible for things that just are. It's just our human nature, our attachments, our love styles. It's whatever it is. But it can get unhealthy. It can beat you up. It can put you in this space where you don't realize what's going on with you. You don't realize how much you are hurting. You don't realize how much you're hurting yourself. And it can make you feel very lost at times where you don't really know what's going on with you. Something just feels wrong. Well, I want to tell y'all a story. I want to be a little vulnerable, a little open. This is healing for me, hard for me, but it's necessary. So I would say on average, I'm a pretty happy person, right? I'm filled with joy. I don't really chase happiness. I have a nice life, good people around me. But I feel lonely a lot. I feel very lonely a lot. Now, I love my own company. I love spending time with myself. I love doing things for myself. But I think the love for that came from trauma. Not being able to rely on certain people, me feeling alone, me not feeling heard or seen. It just kind of pushed me into my own little bubble. And it's like, well, if nobody got me, then I got me. And it's a good thing when you learn how to be on your own, but it's not so good when you kind of get addicted to solitude. While I'm always fighting like this feeling of feeling alone. It's kind of like a contradicting relationship in a way. But I mentioned in my last video, one of my biggest insecurities is not being understood. Or more so being misunderstood. Because I won't really waste my energy trying to make you understand me, but I will use my energy to make sure you don't misunderstand me. And it may sound like the same, but it's very different. There's like a very fine line. A very fine line. I understand that people won't understand me. Some won't. Sometimes I don't even understand myself. But I don't like the idea of people misunderstanding me and the way I go about things and how I feel about certain things. It's almost like respect. I'm not going to demand your respect. You don't have to come and respect me and grovel at my feet. But you're not going to disrespect me. You don't have to be nice to me. You don't have to be sweet and kind and loving, but don't be rude to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like a neutral ground. It's not either or, it's just neutral. That's how I am about understanding. Don't misunderstand me. You don't have to understand me, but don't misunderstand me. Right? Fine line. Well, in my life, two people who have always made me feel seen and heard was my grandma and my grandpa. And anybody who's close to me knows the clutches that those people have on me. I love them like no other. I love my parents too, But things get a little sensitive as people start to get older and you realize like more and more that they won't be here forever. It just kind of brings that intensity. It's kind of like if you've seen your mother fall and you've seen your grandmother fall, you'll be looking more concerned for your grandmother because you understand, she's a little older, she's a little more fragile. It's like that type of thing. But everybody knows how much I love my grandparents. Bear with me. It's hard. It's hard. My grandparents, for a little backstory, they've helped raise all of my siblings, all of my cousins, and they care for us deeply. Treated us very well. But the thing is, My grandparents were never supposed to have children or grandchildren. I think my grandpa went to the doctor as a young man and was told that he would never be able to have children. And then one day they had a son and a daughter and another daughter and another daughter. And all those little folks got busy too. And they had children, birthing my cousins, and my siblings and me. So we was already pretty close. We was tight. We was like a little tribe of our own. I have a big family. I'm related to a lot of people, but our family is kind of small. It's a lot of us, but we're just tight like that. My grandparents, they are very good people, very strong people. Anybody will tell you when they feel upset, that's the place they go to. Like my mother, she still acts like a baby when it comes to her parents. When she gets sick, she wants to go to my grandma's house and get soup and get her head rubbed on. Like, that's the type of relationship. That's the type of people they are. I used to live miles out of the city, or out of the town. It'd be 3 o'clock in the morning. I would call my grandpa and tell him that my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother was gonna roll me up like a dead rabbit and throw me in the highway. And I needed him to come get me. He'll come pick me up at 3 in the morning. Rain, sleet, or snow. He drove trucks. I wanted to ride with him. The places he was going, it was illegal for minors to ride in the trucks with him. He didn't care. I'd hide under the bunk. We'd share coffee. We'd do whatever. My grandparents were always there. There would be times I would fake sick to get out of school just so my grandmother would rub my head, give me orange juice and a Sprite, and fix me chicken noodle soup or do whatever. Because you don't get that everywhere. My grandmother would like hold me with her legs and kick me in the air. It was called the crow, and she would tickle me and I would make bird sounds. I don't know how she invented it or what, but I remember those things. But my grandparents, I'm getting to a point. I just had to give y'all a little backstory. But one thing that beats me up daily, weekly, monthly, yearly is that my grandparents won't be here forever. And I know that very well. I've reasoned with that. Death used to be my biggest fear. Now it's not living. I want to make every day here worth it. So when it's time for this body to perish, I don't regret anything. I still struggle with accepting and being okay. But one day they may not be here. I don't even like talking about it, as you can see. It destroys me. That I go there, I spend time with them just about every day. And when I leave, I just like, God, just please just make sure they safe. I know they're not going to be here forever, but just make sure they safe, healthy and happy. And sometimes I don't realize how much that affects me. There's times when I feel lonely or I feel unwelcome. I never feel like that when I go there. There's times when I call people and I'm excited to talk to them and it's just monotone. It's cool, it's nothing against them. But it's just every time I call them, the energy is here. They could be sick. Hey, how you doing? Like it's always up here. And you go to see them. Eyes sparkle and glitter every time. Rain, sleet, or snow. Very strong people. You never see them pout, really. You never see them cry. Unless they lose somebody very close to them or upset us. If they feel like we had some disagreement and they feel some type of way, it beats them up. But very strong people, very good people. Well, I'm a pretty free-spirited person. I like to travel, I like to go, I like to stay away from home, I like to see new things. But there comes a time where I start to feel guilty. I start to feel like I should be spending more time with my grandparents. It's like I can run around and do this for people and, you know, chase experiences, but I could be spending time with my grandparents because these things may be here a little longer. It makes me feel guilty. Makes me feel like I'm not being a good grandson in a way, a good person. And I know that's irrational, but that's human nature. I go on a trip, I'm gone for a day. When I get back, it's like I've been gone for a year. If I go somewhere and I'm gone for a week, when I come back, it's like I've been gone for 10 years. If I come to their house, later in the day, it's like they don't miss a beat. And on the other side of that, when they don't understand you, it hurts very badly because you always feel seen and heard. For example, when I started the whole social media thing and I told them I wanted to quit my job and pursue social media, they didn't understand that you could actually make a living on it. And they come from a time where you had to, put food on the table and money had to be made. So everything is kind of, black and white for them, left and right. Should I tell them, I made 10 videos today. Well, how much you get paid? Oh, nothing, not yet. Oh, well, make sure you keep that job. And they got my best interest in mind, but it's the fact that this is the place where I always feel heard and understood. When I'm not getting it, that can be pretty brutal. But I also gotta, not take it so personal, understand that they come from a different time. They're stuck in their ways and this is what they know. So I don't fault them, it just hurts, It's just human nature. But then when everything started to take off for me, I seen how much, that translated into understanding. When I actually was able to make a living off of it, there was much more supportive. They was always supportive of me, told me to do whatever I want, follow my dreams, but they wanted to make sure I was okay. But when they seen I was making a living for it and started to understand, they even started to research. So that was pretty big for me. But I just say all that to say, there's no place like home. I always feel like I have a place with them. And I understand that won't be there forever. And I struggle with accepting that at times, if I ever do. But one thing I also understand is the power of energy. A lot of older people get lonely, cold, and hard and die off because there's not people around them to keep them young. There's no reason to live. A lot of people don't have children. And they just get stuck inside with a pet and turn bitter and cold and they die off prematurely. Even if they live to a ripe old age, they still die prematurely because it's just something about having people around you and loving you. There's a power in human connection. There's a power in energy. And I understand that power a lot. And I understand the unique energy that I give to my grandparents. My parents are good people. My cousins are good people. We all give something. We're all unique. But I know I have a different understanding for this energy and how it works, so it kind of beats me up a little more in certain ways. I'm not saying I hurt more than anybody. I just know, the value of energy. So when I have these interactions with my grandparents, I can literally see the life being restored in them. I can see the difference when, one of my cousins or most of my little cousins, like my grandparents are telling them something and they watch an iPad and they not really listening. Versus me, I sit there and I listen and I try to interact with the stories and be interested. Sometimes I'll fall off the rails and I don't want to talk. And then later on I go home and I feel bad about it, And then they feel bad about it. They're wondering what's wrong with me and what's going on and am I okay? It's immediately, are we okay? Are we okay? They're always checking on us. So I try to make sure I do my best to be there for them. Well, like I said, the way I feel I have this unique energy to give, whenever I leave the house, It makes me feel guilty. Years ago, I wanted to move to California and be an actor. And then I was driving to work one day and thought about, if I moved to California, who's going to listen to my grandpa tell the same stories over and over and over and over again? Not many people will. I've crafted the ability to make people feel good about themselves. You can tell me the same old redundant stuff over and over and over. I'll act interested every time. Every time. And some people tell me, why do you let me do that? Why do you let me tell you stuff I already told you? Because you were excited. It made you feel good. It made you feel something. And who would I be to tell you that I heard that already, to take that away from you just because I heard it? Who cares? It's just something that I could do and it doesn't hurt me. So I feel guilty a lot of the times that I'm not home, that I may not be the best grandson ever. I may not give them the energy that they give me. But just coming to reality, I understand that I am a great grandson, a great person, very thoughtful, always checking in on them, always doing what I can, giving what I can give. But it just makes you feel guilty. And what guilts me the most is I feel like if my free-spirited ways enhance and I was to leave the country or go live off the grid for months, that I will be given some bad news and have to come back home. Or the fact that my energy, or the lack of my energy, and the lack of my presence can speed up the biological clock. It's something that I struggle with. I'm not better than anybody. I'm not more special than anybody. But when you become in tune with yourself and your energy, you just realize the value of certain transactions. There's somebody that you call for advice. There's somebody that you call for help. There's somebody that you can count on. There's somebody you would actually want to go to war with. There's somebody that you want to work on your car. There's different people for different things. It's just the way it is. Nobody can replace them. I wouldn't try to replace them. It's just not going to happen. So every day, whether it's on the front of my mind or deep in my subconscious, I battle the idea of one day I won't be able to call him. One day, I won't be able to see him. One day, I won't be able to bring him stuff, tell him stories, bring him life. They'll always be here. You know what I'm saying? Energy, you can't destroy it. It just transfers. But nothing lasts forever in the human world. And I know it's a long, drawn out story, but I can't shortchange that. I can't cut it short and not give you the details and not help you understand. It's impossible. But as you can see, sometimes we don't realize how much we are hurting. We don't. Because no one teaches us to confront our emotions. Nobody teaches us to reach inside. We learned our ABCs. We learned how to count. We learned how to read. We learned grammar. We learned math. We learned all these things. But why was there not a class about emotional intelligence? Learning to deal with emotions, learning to deal with life, learning to deal with thoughts. Why was none of that in school? It's not even, I don't even need that. It's pointless. That's just a message I wanted to share. And it's sad that a lot of us don't feel like we have the space to communicate. A lot of us feel isolated and alone. Many more things. But I just wanted to share. I wanted to be a little open and vulnerable. And in turn, it helps me too. Because that's always a tough talk for me. It's always a tough talk. It's the power of love. It's real strong either way you look at it. It's real strong. And I think the strength and resilience of my grandparents and their love has placed the biggest blessing as well as the biggest curse on me. When I say curse, I don't mean that bad in any way. I'm not saying that I would rather not have them or their love. Absolutely not. But it's kind of like a child, you know. If a child is neglected and never has a family, that's bad. And it's sad. They have to live life with the struggles of never having a family and eventually creating their own if they can do that. But somebody who has had everything can lose everything. When you have nothing to lose. I'm not saying that's a good thing by any means, but it's just different. It's just different to know that you can have people that care so much about you be here one day and then be gone. I told you, my grandparents are extremely strong people. I can count, in the last few years, easily how many times I've cried. The most I ever cried in the last 5 years was when I seen my grandmother break her shoulder. I was off work one day, had to go to the dentist. Went to the dentist early, came home, laid down. I got a call from my grandmother or my grandparents, and I thought it was my grandpa. So I wake up, answer the phone, I'm asleep, and I hear my grandmother's voice shaking. But she was calm though. It's like, hey, how you doing? Regular thing. She's like, can you come down here and help me get up? I just fell. Nothing going on, but I'm okay. I said, yes, ma'am. I'm right down. I'm coming right down the road. Come down the road, and she fell in it was an awkward area. Not a lot of space to work through. My little cousins were there. They tried to get up desperately, but they couldn't. And thank God I was able enough, and worked out and did things for those moments. To where even in a very insanely crazy way, I was able to get up, get her to safety. My grandmother, she got up, walked around, but then I seen her lean over on the counter and start crying. I'm like, you all right? Like, You don't cry. Like, you superwoman. You don't cry. Shoulder was hurt. Shoulder was hurt. Shoulder was hurt. Aunt came, took her to the hospital, shattered her collarbone, and she was just crying. I was in the waiting room, literally a pool of tears. Like, you take a water bottle and dump it out on the floor, my tears. You know. My grandpa, you don't see him sweat. He lost his brothers. You know. His younger brothers, he loses them. One by one. And there's some weird theory I have. I think he's going to be the last one. I don't know why, but I hope. I just bless his soul. When he loses somebody close to him, or when he upsets one of us, it breaks him down. A few weeks ago, I was sick. I had a little cold, and then got over it, and a few days later, it was like I got hit with a virus, and it was just this thing. So for about 2 weeks, I was sick. Had a simple cold, nose stuff. Boy, you all right? You all right? You don't look like yourself. You worrying me. And this is like a macho man. You know what I'm saying? He's softened up over the years, but this is a real man. Worry. I'll be sitting there and I'm dozing off, going to sleep, but I can still see out of my periphery. He just watching me. TV going on, kids maybe running around. He just watching me. I get up, look, watch the TV, or sometimes he'll just be looking. You all right? You know, he watching me. So once that little cold went away, and then that virus picked up, I started to look worse. Eyes bloodshot red, not getting the proper rest. I was dehydrated, and he was worried. He was worried. Boy, you all right? Boy, you all right? What's going on? What's going on? He's one of those people, he could get his legs cut off. He's not going to the hospital. But if you have a paper cut, he calling 911. He's one of those people. So, during that week, I was feeling terrible. My head was hurting. I was dehydrated. I felt like trash. And I would go there and I would just sleep. Just sleep. Just sleep. And every time I don't engage with them, every time I'm not me, they call my mother or ask my brothers and sisters, am I okay? Is everything going on, properly in my life? Very sensitive people. Usually like, yeah, he's all right or whatever. And, they'll ask me again to confirm, you sure you're all right? Something going on. You always can talk to us. And I'm one of those people. I'm good until you ask me, am I good? The regular person won't get it out of me. I could be going through hell and hot water. The regular person like, yeah, you good? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're not, you're not one of those people, you can't get that out of me. But when the people who really care about you and you care about them, when they ask you, are you okay? It just do something to you. You do something. Y'all already know how it go. But they'll check up on me. But during that week, it happened to align with this guilt that I feel, whatever you want to call this. And I came back the next day and my grandma was like, Lonnie been worried about you. He been worrying me all night. How you doing? How you feeling? She just checking up on me too. So I go over there and talk to him. And I talked to him. Told him I was all right. And he wasn't buying that. He just looking at me. Oh, you don't look good. And I didn't. Dehydrated, eyes red. I didn't look good. I didn't look like me. He worried. Then one day I went there and my throat was hurting real bad. Barely talking. Didn't sound good. When I left 30 minutes later, he asked my grandma, how was I doing? She was like, I don't know. I haven't seen him since you've seen him. An hour later, he asked my grandma how I was doing. I don't know. I haven't seen him since you've seen him. I haven't heard from him. Later that night, before he got up out of his chair and went to sleep, asked how I was doing. I said, Lonnie, I don't know. I haven't seen him since you've seen him. He woke up at 3 a.m. Woke her up to ask if she heard from me. She said, no. It's 3 a.m. I I haven't seen him since you've seen him. Woke up in the morning. First thing on his mind is Shimon okay? I got up. I started walking down there to go see him. Before they could even top the hill, got a call from him. Hey boy, how you doing? I said, I'm alright. He's like, well, I'm worried about you. You don't sound too good. I said, well, I'm at the top of the road. I'll be down the hill in a minute. I'm coming to see you, coming to check on you. And until I got better, the same things happen. And even when you're doing good, they still worried about you. Now, like I've said many times before, you just don't get that everywhere. And I know I'm blessed. A lot of people don't have parents to care about them like that. A lot of people don't have grandparents to care about them. Or maybe feel like they don't have anybody to care about them like that. But it's rough. It's rough. I've seen people, and everybody grieves differently. This is not any hate towards anybody else. It's just what it is. But I've seen many people who claim to care about their parents, their friends, their grandparents, and they lose them. They'll post on social media, oh, my grandma, my grandpa, my dad, I love them, I miss them. And then the next day they jumping around laughing, doing the next thing for clicks and views. Now, everybody grieves differently, and if they celebrate life and they can do it that well, shout out to you. But I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me. The smallest signs about losing my grandparents sends me into loops I couldn't even begin to describe with words. Losing them would end me. It won't end my life, I will be hurt. I will be destroyed. I will get through it. And I will appreciate them and value them every day that I do have with them. And do all that I can while also living my life, because they've had their turn to live their life. They lived their life. They've created what they've created. They did what they wanted to do. And I have to live my life and not let anything hold that back. Now, that don't mean I have to live life like a loose cannon just because death is certain and things like that. I will always value my grandparents. But I can't let that hold me back from living my life. But I also can't let my life hold me back from spending time with my grandparents and, being grateful for those moments, which won't. But I'm just communicating how I feel. And I hope that me doing this, especially if you made it to this point in the video, I hope it just inspired you to speak up about something you feel and something that's hurting you so deeply. Because like I said, sometimes we just do not know how much we are hurting. We just don't. So I'm going to end this right here. I don't want to go on for too much longer because I could go on forever. I could go on forever. My earliest memories were made with those people. As of today, earliest memory I have, I remember being in a truck with my grandma and my grandpa. I had to be 3. Grandpa got out to pick up a check. A big dog jumped in the truck, and me and my grandma were scared, senseless. My grandpa just yelled, and the dog got the hell on down. It's one of my earliest memories with my grandparents. Like I said, thank you for watching, good people. Y'all take care of yourselves. I hope you find somebody you can talk to. I hope you find somebody you can open up with. Sometimes even just sitting down talking to yourself, talking to a camera. I don't have to post this, you know. But I think it would be selfish not to. I feel a lot better. When you feel weight on your heart, let it off. Don't hide from it. Don't push it down. Let it off. You'll thank yourself in the long run. So, appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you for listening. I hope this helped you. I hope it inspired you. I hope it showed you how much a person can be hurt and you never know it. Even about the sweetest things. The sweetest things bring the most out of people. So, don't forget that. Love y'all. Y'all take care of yourselves, and I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my day. Get some things done. Go see my grandparents. And keep this thing going. All life. I'll holler at y'all when I holler at y'all.